Hey guys, welcome to Wrestling Daze and welcome to this opinions review video for Bash in Berlin. We're going to get through your comments. We're going to go for about half an hour. We'll chuck an extra 10 minutes on. I'm going to try and be as quick as I can. This is a bit tricky, right? Because I'm going to read out the match scores and I'm going to talk about them. And I got quite a bit to say. So Cody against Kevin Owens, great, 72%. Bianca Jade against Unholy Union, good, 91%. That was the lowest rated match. CM Punk against Drew, great, 80%. That was the highest rated match. Terror Twins against Judgment Day, great, 76%, only 4% behind. Randy Orton, Gunther, great, 75%. So the top three was Randy Orton, Gunther, great, 75. Terror Twins, Judgment Day, great, 76. CM Punk, Drew, great, 80. So only one match of the five getting a good score. All the rest in the great territory shows you that this was a really fun show. Anytime we get matches into the great range is great because most matches on Raw, SmackDown are good, right? And occasionally you might get one, maybe two sometimes great matches. Well, here we had four. So that speaks volumes, I think, for this show. The fact that not having loads of matches, letting these matches breathe, does lead to a better quality match. So all good on that front. The bit that I'm struggling with is to tell you what I think the best match was, because I do think all of these matches were flawed. Gunther against Randy, I thought was very technical. Lots of selling, psychology in the sense of selling the wrist, the pacing, the bringing the crowd along. I mean, the crowd just elevated this to a different level, right? Crowd were amazing. The only thing I would say is the selling of the wrist and the pacing. I mean, it does pick up and there are some big spots, but it is fairly slow all throughout. It does pick up towards the end, as matches do, but I don't know that we got enough of a counter to the really slow pace to kind of justify that slow pace. A lot of people were struggling with the slow pace, but when it gets to the quicker stuff at the end, that contrast is what really makes it work. You know, so I think it's fine to go slow and build, but if you don't get much fast-paced stuff at the end, you don't really get the satisfaction of having gone through that build. And also, I would say that the selling of the wrist was, you know, not the best, really. I mean, he did fine with selling it, but I just think, like, if you've got an arm, a shoulder, right, that's going to prevent you from doing moves, you know, he was still throwing punches. It was hurting him, and he was having to change. But, like, I don't know, the wrist is such a weird thing to try and sell when you've got, like, other parts of the body. I mean, it might turn out he was actually injured. There were times where I thought to myself, like, damn, this is such a shame. This match would be better if he hadn't have hurt his wrist. Like, I found myself thinking that during the match. And it's probably, you know, that he was just selling it, but I just think it's such a weird thing to sell. If he hasn't actually hurt his wrist, I wish he'd have chosen something different, like the shoulder, like the elbow, like the thigh, like the knee, like, you know, something like that instead. So for me, those things just sort of got in the way. I promise you, I did think at one point this match would be so much better if he hadn't have hurt his wrist, which is not a good thing to be thinking, really, when you're watching the main event. I still think it's up there, though. I mean, it was still brilliant, but we're debating what was the best match. I can't really go Terror Twins Judgment Day because it was fast-paced, all action, a little bit messy in places, but just fun. It was just fun. Just had a really good time with it, and honestly, if I was to go back and rewatch a match, it might be that one, you know? It might be that because it was just fun. And it would be great to watch that pin again. CM Punk against Drew, I just think the touching of the corners got in the way. I'd much rather that we just did a pinfall. I was quite excited for that, but at the start, like, that we were going to do that. I haven't seen that in ages. But for me, it just didn't work. I just thought, like, you know, it reset and then we had to do it all again. And we just, like, Yeah, it just got in the way. And then Cody KO, the whole, I ain't going after your knee, I'm not going to powerbomb you on the outside. The powerbomb one in particular bugged me, because to me, that's just not a heel move. To me, him not powerbombing him is just stupid. If the referee is going to watch you do that and not DQ you, then it's fine, isn't it? Because the referee has got the ability to disqualify you. If the referee believes that powerbombing Cody on the edge of the ring is acceptable, well then, fine, it's acceptable, isn't it? I mean, if you low blowed him, you'd be DQ'd straight away. So clearly a low blow is an issue. Poking of the eyes is an issue. Raking of the eyes is an issue. You'd be straight DQ'd for those. I don't believe you'd be straight DQ'd for a powerbomb on the edge of the ring. So to me, him not doing that was a bit strange. I don't understand. And then he didn't go for the knee, but then he did go for the knee, and that was a bit strange. So I just sort of felt like that just got in the way. I just wish they'd wrestled a normal match. But of course, the thing is, you've got to have an out, haven't you? Like, you need Kevin to be seen as like, oh, he would have done it if he'd have just, committed to that power bomb, or if he'd have gone after the knee, or he would have won. I just don't think it needed that. Just have them both fight. Best person wins. Cody would pick up the win. And then, just deal with it after. Triple H used to be really good with that down in NXT. I felt like we used to get a lot of clean wins out of Triple H in kind of like the early days of NXT. It's just a shame to see that that's just not quite the case these days. And yeah, I think it was a bit too protected in that one. So I can't sit here and tell you what I think the best match is. I mean, all I can tell you is I would probably rewatch the Terror Twins match. I don't think I'd go back to Cody, Kevin, personally. I don't think I'd go back to Punk Drew, and I certainly wouldn't go back to Bianca and Isla Alba. It might be Randy if I really had to pick Randy Gunther. I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it. My criticisms for that are slight. But yeah, for me, this was really good, really solid. I'm thinking it's like a 7.75 out of 10. I think there was no real title changes outside of those women's titles, which I don't think anyone really cared about. And everything I think went the way we thought. There was nothing really in the way of a surprise here. No heel turn for Kevin, but then I didn't think there would be. No heel turn between Bianca Jade. I didn't think there would be. I was having a little look at Ludwig at the end, just wondering if that might set something up, but we never got anything there. There was no segment. The German announcer guy just read out the attendance. So, yeah, just weird. Just weird that it was just pretty paint by numbers. There was no massive talking point. Obviously, we go to NXT No Mercy. Obviously, we headed to Raw. And we'll see what that brings. But really fun show. Really entertaining. High quality matches. Those criticisms are all, we're trying to figure out what the best match is. And we're talking about why it's not this, why it's not that. It doesn't mean those matches aren't good. It doesn't mean those matches weren't enjoyable. This was a very easy to watch show, I thought. So, yeah. Oh, and you got to say the German crowds. Oh, my God. Amazing. So, yeah, about 7.75. Okay, so 22 minutes or so we'll spend going through your comments. So here, Kelly the Wise Lady said, I thought it was really great. It didn't have any surprises or returns, but it was a great wrestling program. It's not easy to have a PLE that has just wrestling and hold my attention through the whole thing. Every match kept my eyes on the screen. I love seeing Liv and Dom get their asses handed to them. Punk and Drew was good. Now they can stop fighting over a bracelet. Gunther, Randy was amazing. I have so much respect for him holding his hand out to Randy. Cody and KO was really good as well. No KO turn yet. That was an 8.95. 8.95. Ethan said, I thought it was a great show. Every match hit. I was not expecting a big surprise or return like I'm seeing some comments suggest that the show lacked. The women's tag match really surprised me by how good it was. I was expecting it to be boring. The show was probably the best PLE of the year. What? Wow. 10 out of 10 from me. Wow. Best PLE of the year. I didn't expect that. Wow. Giza HD said, nothing really outstanding. The outcomes were exactly as I expected them to be. The Cody KO match didn't make sense to me, unless they are gonna turn KO heel, but even still it was weird. It was alright, but nothing memorable to me. Gio the Theo said, I can't think of anything negative about the show. I mean, it was very predictable in my opinion, but overall the show was very entertaining. Dr. Gene A. White Jr. said the crowd was amazing. Loved Terror Twins against JD match. Fell asleep on the PLE twice. 6. Oof. That's probably not a good sign, is it, in all fairness? Jeremy said, great show with another great crowd. Cody and KO killed it out there. Punk and Drew was what it was. Mixed tag was a good match with a great story. Main event was phenomenal with Randy looking great in defeat. 8.5. Oh, and Samantha is the GOAT, said Jeremy. Pro Wrestling Bites said 7 out of 10 for me. My favourite match on the card was Terror Twins versus Liv Dom. That exceeded my expectations. It was really fun, yeah. The women's tag match was my least favourite, but it was a perfectly fine match. Everything else ranged from good to great, which led to a very enjoyable experience. Bradley said it was an awesome, every match delivered. For me, there was no surprises. I thought we might have gotten a massacre with the Judgment Day backstage, but still an amazing PLE crowd was electric. Alicia said 2 out of 10. My 10-year-old thought, and I thought it was boring, says Alicia. That's interesting. That's interesting. I think, you know, it's difficult because when you're going to do a show that's got that much wrestling on it, I mean, there was not many backstage moments. I'm trying to think of any backstage segments. I know we saw people like head into the ring before we would go to commercial break or whatever. But yeah, I can't really think of like interviews and stuff like that. So it was very wrestling heavy, this one. And I don't know. I mean, listen, you can tell stories in the ring, of course, but maybe it would have just benefited by mixing it up a little bit. Maybe it would have benefited from that, having a little something backstage as well. Austin said it was a great pay-per-view. Every match except for the women's tag was entertaining. I disagree with the chat when they said Owens should have turned and the interference from Judgment Day ruined it. I think it made the match better. The best match was Drew Punk or Cody KO. 8 out of 10 overall. Harry said, I hope you're well, mate. Honestly, not the best at all. I believe all matches were predictable. The only thing I got from it was that we will be getting Drew Punk 3 at Bad Blood. That's it. Perhaps needed another match on the card, but for me, it was lackluster. Thoughts? Predictability doesn't worry me, to be honest. I can enjoy matches where I know what the outcome's going to be because there's always going to be that doubt of, could they? Are they? That's always going to be there because it's 2 people or, you know, tag teams, 4 people battling. And we've seen shock results before. So you can certainly go, yeah, I know where this is going and ultimately it'll go that way. But there's going to be moments where there's pins and you're like, are they about to do that? Like, it still does that to me. So yeah, I mean, I was looking at like Randy getting a few moments and I was like, I felt pretty good Gunther was going to win, but I was looking at Randy going, you know, he hits an RKO, for example, and you're like, are we going to do it? Like, and we didn't, of course. So predictable is fine because I think there's enough just natural doubt in wrestling where you can hold my attention even if it's predictable. And I think the matches were entertaining as well. As we said, only 1 of the 5 got a good rating. All the rest got great, which means that it held the majority of the community's attention. I do think that point earlier was interesting from Alicia saying that her and her 10-year-old daughter really struggled with it. And I think, did they give it a 2? I thought that was an interesting comment because I can sort of see if you really are not like really into the wrestling side, because there are a lot of people that watch WWE for the stories, for the characters, you know, for the sizzle. This was a lot of steak tonight. There wasn't, I mean, you got the sizzle as well, you know, you got the entrances and you got the superstars, but this wasn't them, like, doing promos. This wasn't them being interviewed and all that. This was them just getting in the ring and going and wrestling and working, and it's different, isn't it? It is different to what you would get on, say, a SmackDown is 2 hours and you tend to get 4 matches. So it is different. This one, I sort of feel, and they're short matches as well. Yeah, I can understand this is not the greatest show of the year. Although someone said it was theirs earlier. I think this was what we thought it would be. It was entertaining. I was really happy watching it. I didn't feel bored. Didn't set my world on fire. But I thought what we got was, you know, if that's the results that we've got to have, then I think this is about as good a show as you can do, really. If the future and where we're going means that we had to do these results to get to where we're going, it's probably about as good a show as you could hope for. I mean, there are definitely things I would have changed in retrospect, but you know, that's going to happen, isn't it? Like I said, the touching of the corners, you know, maybe you wouldn't have known that wasn't as good until you saw it. So that's a retrospect thing, isn't it? It's easy in hindsight to go, oh, I'd change this, I'd change that. So those are my thoughts, Harry. Watson said, not too many big talking points, but that doesn't take away this is one of the best in-ring PLEs of the year. Word of Wrestling said, I give it a solid 9. I can't pick any faults, to be fair. It was enjoyable. No surprises, but the matches gave good storytelling for now and future matches. Rhea Ripley was amazing as always. I thought Kevin had it at one point. Randy even had me believing that he was going to win. It's Bryn again, said, I thought the show was great. Yes, predictable, but predictable isn't always bad. The wrestling was great. Stories within each match were shown very well. 7 out of 10 for me. Jey Uso said 6. Best bit was Rhea attacking Dom. Joey said, I had low expectations, but it was great. CM Punk versus Drew definitely needs a number 3. Wrestling fan since day one said 6.75. It was good. Best match for me personally was the Rhea, Damian, Liv, Dom match. Yeah, do you know? Yeah. I keep looking back at like what I would want to rewatch, and it is the Terror Twins against Judgment Day. It is that match I would go to first. Which, does that mean that that was my favorite match? Because I think from a technical standpoint, Gunther Randy probably pips it. But yeah, I'm pleased to see that mixed tag's getting the love it's getting. KO or Randy is going to turn heel soon. Great stream, Daze. What was your favorite? Oh, mate, honestly, it's been a nightmare trying to figure that out, as you've seen. Jade versus Bianca. Bad Bloods? I don't think so. I think it's a bit too soon. I think that match is WrestleMania worthy, so not yet. See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow, my friends. So, wrestling fan since day one gives it 6.75. TJF said Kevin versus Cody was great. So glad he didn't turn. Proves what I said about we can do face versus face matches, and they're great matches. Orton versus Gunther was a banger. I wanted Orton to win, but I get why he didn't. With Gunther's first defense, and in Germany, solid 8 tag team matches, the only thing that let it down. Chanel gives it 7 out of 10. I expected a few more surprises, but I'm not complaining. Terror Twins versus Liv and Dom was a great match, and my favourite of the night. Also, it seemed odd to have Cody versus KO start the show. Well, with wrestling, the main match is the last match. The next most important match is the first match, because that sets the tone. It's the match that kind of gets the crowd going. It really, you know, if you have a good start, a hot start, an exciting start, you've got the crowd up here. if the matches that follow are a bit underwhelming, you're coming from quite a high spot, you know? So Kevin against Cody was always going to be a banger. So, and it was never going to main event because Gunther was going to be the main event of this show. So, you know, where else would you put it on the cards? If you put it in the co-main event spot, you might burn the crowd out because the crowds are going to be watching. I do think they got the order a little off. I think it might have been better to have had Bianca and Jade in the co-main event spot because I don't think people were quite as into that. And so that would be a little bit more of a breather before the main event. So maybe they could have just switched the mixed tag and the women's tag around. But I think actually where they put the three matches, the Cody match, the Punk match, the Gunther match, for me was in the right place. You start with a hot match, something that's going to get the crowd going, something that's, you know, significant. And, you know, you could have gone with the Terror Twins in that spot. But I think that this is, you know, a title match. It's Cody. Like, yeah, let's go. Gunther main events. And then, you know, the brutality of the CM Punk match, you put that in the middle with, like, two buffer matches, really. I mean, no disrespect to them, but I sort of see those two matches, the mixed tag and the women's tag, as really just being buffers in between championship match, strap match, championship match. So I think it was all right for me. I predicted that they would start with the Cody Kevin match. Yeah, good 7 out of 10. Mitchell said, it was a fun little show. KO Cody was the match of the night for me. I can't rate Punk Drew as high just because it felt like a green light, red light match. I know it's a B show, but I wish WWE wouldn't do these super predictable cards. Raymond said, Daze, I hope you're doing well. I thought Bash was amazing show. Cody and KO match was incredible. And the mixed tag match was amazing. All round, I'll give it a 9. It was very entertaining. Uncle Revel said another safe international show. That being said, it was still fun. Matches were good. Strap match stole the show for me. Overall, it was 7.5. Yeah. In the same neighborhood. Big Bam said, personally, I'm at a 7. Some of the matches seemed to drag a bit. Overall, the storytelling was good. Looking forward to the next evolution of those stories. Hawkins Jr. said, my thoughts were that I enjoyed the matches involving the women tonight. Really put on a great show. Terror Twins Judgment Day was the best match tonight. Women's tag match I found to be the second best match. Rest of the card was all good, but I found those to be great. Wow. Ash Butterfly Girl said, I think it was a great PLE. My favourite match had to be Terror Twins versus Temu Judgment. I can't believe it. Honestly, I can't believe it. I'm not saying anyone's wrong. I mean, honestly, it's I think the most fun match as well. But when you've got a match as technical as Randy and Gunther, which I think they really did go through the stages you should go through to have an absolute banger. Selling an injury, the slower pace, the high impact moves that just sort of, you know, keep things going along, keeping the crowd involved. Like, there was so much that they put into that match, even though it was slow, even though it didn't feel like there was loads going on. There was loads that went on in that match to deliver a really good, really, you know, credible main event. I look at like that Terror Twins match, and it, for me, it was just more fun at the end of the day. That's the word I would use. It was just more fun, and that is the match that I would go to as well. Maybe it was. Maybe Terror Twins Judgment Day was the best match on this show. I'm so happy to see them win. I was a little bit surprised to see Cody Kevin open the show, though. Well, hopefully you heard what we just said and it made sense. Anthony said, good show, great energy from the crowds, loved the Cody KO match, can't wait for Punk versus Drew 3. Terror Twins are great, and Gunther versus Randy was awesome. I enjoyed it. Ratchet the Owl said, I'm at work, don't tell me. Thank you. Lucy Axo said, I am split on this. The matches were really good, but the results were expected. No turns, no returns, no surprises. Feels like this turn towards long-term storytelling in recent years is going a bit far. Every storyline is starting to drag on a bit too long. British Wrong Style said 8 out of 10 for me. Fantastic show and crowds, although a little predictable. Every match was very strong and well done. Loved the main event, but I just like to see Gunther being booked as the dominant monster he was leading up to his title reign. I feel he's lost a little bit of that lately. I think Gunther's lost a lot, actually, in the sense of he doesn't have the size anymore. I mean, he was outsized quite a bit by Randy. And I look back at the Gunther that had a little bit of timber, a little bit of summer, you know. And I look at that guy that just had more presence. I look at his NXT UK music, way better than what he's got now. I hate his music. He's been Def Rebelled. Hate his music now. Hate it. Yeah, there's quite a bit actually about Gunther at the moment that just doesn't feel it carries the same impact as what he had in NXT UK and NXT. But he is the world champion. He still has the ability to put on fantastic matches. And this is a big statement victory. I mean, he choked out Randy Orton clean. So it's a big statement win for him. That's going to make him a bigger star. So let's see. It's still, I mean, that was his first title defense. So let's see how we feel in like 6 months' time if he's still got the belt, you know. Right. Alexandra said, for me, it's 6.25 out of 10. The crowd did half the job and all matches delivered except for the women's tag. There's just lack of credibility in the women's tag scene. Randy Gunther, quality-wise, it was good, but a little too slow-paced, and the ending dragged a little too long. I don't think that's unfair, to be honest. Ian said, it was a solid PLE, although the results were kind of predictable. No returns, no surprises, no heel turns. Hopefully this $5 bracelet feud is over. It gets a 7 from me. LD said, hope you're well. I thought every match was amazing. I have to say it's a 9. I just hope now the bracelet feud is over. The bracelet feud. We are very much in the friendship bracelet era. Lexi said it was insane. This, though, highlight of my life. I was going to say the night, but it's so much more. So much more. That really is going to feed families, that picture. Ron said, I rated it 9 out of 10. I thought it was good. J Bay said 6.75. I'm grading on a curve. Joey said, I didn't really feel invested in it, though it succeeded in making Gunther look like a megastar, and deservedly so in my eyes. I can't stand KO, and I felt that Cody KO was just a little bit flat. My prediction I made before, KO feels more likely every day. I will DM it to you, said Joey. Thank you, Joey. Kieran said, like a 7 out of 10. Nothing really memorable, but nothing awful either. The biggest letdown was the main event. It was just too slow. Summers said, solid 8. Would have been 10 if Randy would have won, but I'm hoping we get Randy versus Cody feud soon. Shell Shocker said, Cody Kevin, I gave 3.725 out of 5. Would have been 4 if Kevin would have turned. Women's tag match 3 out of 5. Drew Punk 3.5. Damian Rhea Dom Liv 4. And Randy Gunther 4.99. Can't give a perfect score. All in all, pretty groovy. J-Dog said, absolutely incredible. Plus the match of the night is CM Punk versus Drew. I'm stunned. Stunned at how many different match of the night shouts we're getting. I'm actually, after this, going to put a poll up. asking you guys what was the match of the night. You've inspired me to do that because I'm stunned at how many different matches are being mentioned here. Miss Clown said, to be honest, I struggled. I mean, you saw how much I went through all the flipping different matches. Miss Clown said, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 8. I enjoyed the show. Nothing was awful. Punk Drew was decent. I like Gunther Orton. I can't complain. And a decent Saturday evening of wrestling. One word will sum it up. Enjoyable. Keep it sexy. Chris said 7 out of 10. Punk Drew, definitely the best match to me. If it wasn't for the crowd, probably would have given this PLE a lower score. Tony said it's basically what I expected, which is a little bit of a letdown. But overall, the matches were well done. I just don't have a favourite. I guess I hold on to the fact that they can and have shocked the fans. It just wasn't shocking. 5.2. CM Chuck said a solid 9. I actually enjoyed it more than SummerSlam. Steve said it was so good. Austin Cooper said, I score Bash in Berlin a 9. It was fantastic. Everything I expected it would have been a 10 if we got a surprise. I had a wonderful day on the stream today, Daze. Thanks for making everyone feel special. See you tomorrow for the NXT stream. Austin, shout out to you, sir. That's nice. And we'll wrap it up on this. I would love to make even more people feel special, but we are over the half an hour now. And this is a nice kind of break here, isn't it? So we'll wrap it up with Belinda. I absolutely loved that the Terror Twins won, even if it was predictable. I give Bash in Berlin an 8.5. Thanks again for an amazing time on the live stream, Days. Belinda, shout out to you, my friend. I'm so glad people had fun. That's what we tried to do. We are balancing, talking about the show and, you know, really trying to make sure we're picking up on all the little things that go down, but chatting at the same time and finding fun and entertaining and just little, you know, bits and bobs. So, you know, that's what we tried to do. And yeah, I thought it was fun. I had a great time on the stream. I did it. I think that always helps. I think my score can be influenced by how much fun I have with the show, and that can be influenced by how much fun the streams are, to be honest. You know, if the streams were all really quiet and I was watching the show and it was all a bit flat, the show could be the same show, but if it's all not really coming across and it's all a bit flat, like, my score would be lower. But, like, because it was all good vibes and we were laughing and I think with this show, there just felt like there was lots of little moments and things that were happening. I suppose the main event is where I found there was maybe bigger patches of inactivity. But really, all throughout the show, they did a good job of dropping bits in, be it like a hot tag in the women's tag match or that pin, you know. There was just loads of talking points and little tiny talking points, not massive things, but just loads of bits and bobs that were going on that just kept me engaged. So, yeah, I had a great time as well, and I'm glad to hear that many of you did also. So, thanks a lot for watching. Appreciate the support. I'm going to go and put this video up, and I am going to put up that poll, and I am also going to go to bed because right now it is 4:30 in the morning in the UK. That means that I do need to get to bed because obviously we've got No Mercy later. Very excited for that. So thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. I'll see you later. Bye for now.